Hello, I'm Dave Speakman. Welcome back to my beginner guitar course. We've had a break from the guitar course for a few weeks, but I decided to get back on it because there's a few students who started lessons when I started doing the course back whenever that was, 18 months ago, and they've far surpassed these videos now, so I need to get the videos back up to where they are. If you're one of those students, you're doing really well. We're using a capo at fret 2 today, but I'm going to explain the chords as if they were open chords, okay? So when we capo, say if we were playing the chord G, it's now actually the chord A because it's 2 frets higher, but I will still be calling it G. A bit like when a piano player, well, a keyboard player, uses the transpose button. They think in one key, but it's actually coming out in another key. Okay, so G is actually one of the chords that we need. The other chords that we need, so we need E minor 7, G as stated, D sus 4, which we're going to just leave these two fingers where they are, and then we're going to leave those two fingers there again for A7 sus 4. So that's one of the things of this tune. These two top fingers stay where they are. So the first thing that I would suggest to practice is just getting these chords together. You can practice like this. And then you could do 4 strums on each chord. I'm using a plectrum. You don't have to use a plectrum, you could strum it with your finger. If you're not sure how to use a pick, there's a video that I did here which will explain that to you. Great. What I've done then is I've broken this down into a few simpler exercises to transition you to be able to play the full riff. The way that he plays it, it's quite loose and he kind of plays it a little bit differently each time. So I've settled on one of the ways that he does it, and it's the way that he does the most often. It isn't the way that he does it the very first time he plays it, but we'll perhaps talk about that a little bit later on in the video. And once you've got a feel of how to play it, the variations that he does are very natural anyway. It's just, you know, guitarists don't really think in that sort of way. He definitely wouldn't have been thinking about it in terms of the rhythms that we're going to write out. It's just a rhythm that he's strumming on his guitar. That said, we're kind of learning it in a more kind of educated way, aren't we? Which is good, I think. Cool. So the first thing we're going to look at is a fairly simple rhythm that we've looked at before. Bear in mind, I've actually doubled all of these rhythms to make them easier to read. So in reality, when you see a quaver here, it would have been a semi-quaver on the actual record. But just for the simplicity of where we're up to in the course, I've left the rhythms like this because we've not got onto semi-quavers yet. Cool, so the first rhythm is this. Cool, and this kind of has this cycling feeling of beat 4 rolling on to beat 1. And that's something that we need to practice. So although it's quite an easy rhythm, it's just 2 quavers, 2 crotchets, and then 2 quavers. If you're not sure about what crotchets and quavers are, there's a video here about what crotchets and quavers are. You can go back to earlier in the course, follow it through, and then come back to this when you feel you're ready. Good. The next rhythm is one that we learn in the video about ties. Here's the video about ties, if you're not sure about what they are. So this is the down, down, up, up, down, up rhythm. And hopefully you understand what that is. If you don't, go back to an earlier video. It'd be a good idea with these first 2 rhythms then to practice them so that you can get them to the tempo of the tune, which is this. This is exercise 1. And then the next one. Notice that I'm not really moving my arm massively as I strum. It's more kind of from slight rotation of the wrist with the elbow as well. So I'm not I'm not taxing just my elbow, I'm kind of using my whole arm. So in the next exercise, and this is a thing that happens in this, we've got these ties where it ties across. And if you remember, a tie joins two shorter notes together and turns them into one longer note. So in this next exercise, we're going to use the chord C add 9, which is a new chord. And you can see it's a little bit like G, but it moves up. We'll just do the first bar of it actually first, because it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and. Okay, so that's quite important to understand. 1, 2, 3, 4, and. And like we've been doing with everything, we're down on the beat, we're up off the beat. Cool. Let's develop that. Let's add the next up. So it's going to go down, 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 up, up. Yeah. Okay, and then into the next bit again. Developing that on. So we've got a lot of upstrokes in a row, so we're just basically developing this slowly to get used to doing the upstrokes. So the next one, we're using the chord D sus4, and we're going. Now this is one that a lot of students struggle with because they see a crotchet there and think, well, aren't crotchets down? Which they are, but this crotchet is off the beat because we have the quaver before it, and that's on beat 1 of that bar. That crotchet starts on 1 and, which makes it an upstroke, and that throws that next quaver off to make that an upstroke as well. So we'll just demonstrate that one again. Good. Cool. The next rhythm then is actually the rhythm of the second 2 bars, or the last 2 bars of the overall intro verse rhythm that he plays. So we're going like this, so it's. So the more astute of you will have seen that it's just the previous rhythm, but 2 of the crotchets were changed to 2 quavers. Okay, cool. What we're going to do now then, we're going to play the whole rhythm of what Wonderwall is at half speed, just with 1 chord. We're going to play it with E minor 7. Okay? So it's. Good. If you can't do that, just rewind back to earlier in the video and just get those earlier exercises together, really going through it a little bit at a time and just making it a little bit harder each time, and you will be able to do it. The next thing that I would practice now, I'd practice the first 2 bars of the sequence. So if we look at the sequence here, we can see that the first 2 bars are. And I just loop this. Notice that there's only 1 finger changing. Cool. Now the next bit, in this next bar, the chord actually changes on an upstroke. So again, this is something to practice. So you could just practice the change. Now you could just do it with that finger there, or you can do it like this, it doesn't really matter. I think I tend to do that actually. I think I tend to do that. I don't know. Maybe watch what I do. Yeah, that's what I do. And then I put the last bar in. So again, maybe just remind yourself of that rhythm. Now get the change in, so. Yeah, cool. And then we can play it all the way through. Cool. If you can follow it along like that, then that's brilliant. And that might take a week or so just to get that to really sort of cement in. Okay. The next thing to do would be to get it up to speed. Now, it's not going to sound totally like it at this point, and I'll explain why in a minute. Okay, so. Okay, so it does sound like it, but it sounds a little bit like, you know, your auntie playing it at Christmas or something, doesn't it? So it kind of needs a little bit more vibe to it. Now, we've talked about this before in other things. Now, remember me saying at the start of the video that I doubled all of these rhythms. So what we actually want, essentially, is accents on the beat within the semiquavers. Now, thinking about what the semiquavers would be, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, rappa-dappa-dappa-dappa-dappa-dappa-dappa. That's what semiquavers are. There's 4 notes in each crotchet. Okay, so if I just play it. Basically anything that's on a beat, then I just put a slight accent on it. And that is something that I do quite naturally. It's not something that I think about. It's just something that I would kind of do. And if this was written out for a gig, I wouldn't expect there to be accents written on it for me to play it. I mean, hopefully I'd know how to play it without it being written out, eh? But, you know, yeah. So it's getting those accents. And there's a couple of them that where he goes like on the record. The first time that he does it, he kind of goes like, you know, so he doesn't play as many of them on that time. But then it's a little bit like learning Smells Like Teen Spirit or something like that. There's so many variations in it, and yes, you can go through and study it and play it exactly as he did it. But I don't think that. I mean, that isn't the way that he's thinking about it when he's playing it. He's just playing the chords to the tune with the rhythm of how it goes. And as far as he's concerned, he's probably playing it the same every time, as I would be if that happened with me. You know, the variations kind of happen by nature. That's what it's like being a guitar player, I suppose. It's not the same as like having classical piano lessons or something where you would learn to play everything exactly the same way every time. But even saying that, I mean, those guys, you know, the guys who are really good classical pianists, they do embellish things and they do improvise with it. So it's just a natural part of being a musician, really. Cool. If you do have any questions about any of this, please do leave me a comment in the comments below. If there's a song that you'd like me to do a video about, how to learn, or any other content that you'd like to see on the channel, again, please do let me know. Please do give the video a like, and if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. I do lots of guitar tuition videos, quite a lot of music tech stuff, and a few things about videoing and filming and stuff like that. I have a recording studio in Middlewich. You can see a video about my studio in Middlewich here. Great. I think that's it, really. Just keep practicing it. Like I say, go back to the earlier things. I mean, this isn't something that's going to happen overnight. You'll have to practice the things over and over, those exercises. All the sheets, of course, are available for free to download on my website. You can take them, share them, do with them as you please. Great. Thank you for watching. Bye.